Okey-doke. Okey-doke. Well, welcome everybody here at the Rec Center, and welcome to all of you in Zoom land. It seems like forever since we've been together, so it's nice to see everybody. We've got a good group on Zoom, and they're still coming in here. So I think everybody was ready to get together. We got a great program tonight. We're all going to want to move to Mexico when this is over. So those of you in Zoom land, if you would please mute yourselves and phones off in here. I'm sure everybody knows. Following the presentation, we will have just a few announcements. So, and then I'm sorry for those of you at home, but those of you here, we have door prizes. So with that, I'm going to let Patty introduce our speaker, and welcome and thanks everybody for being here.
Oops, there's the screen. Can you all hear me okay? All right. I'm excited to introduce Joe Piotrowski. A lot of you already know him. He's been a long member of the Bird Club. He was a vice president of programs back when. If you don't recognize him from doing birding, he also is a surgeon, Riverside vascular specialist. He's 95% retired now, but you might recognize him from that as well. Luckily, he's been able to travel. He's going to show us about his 90 days in Mexico in an RV and the birds and everything else that he saw. So welcome, Joe.
I'm going to talk a little bit too, but yeah, why don't we
Share screen?
Yeah, share screen and go to the flash, the start screen.
We need to close that door.
Started or
Yeah, I just started and then
tap
started.
it?
Good. Okay. Oh. I don't think we need quite that much darkness. I don't know, can the people at home see me or just hear me at this point?
They should be able to see you down in the corner. It
It's
doesn't yet.
just a J. Can you see me at home, one of you people that can unmute?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
It's just here that we're seeing that.
The J.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, if you put it in speaker mode under view, you'll see Joe.
Okay. It doesn't matter if I see myself. That's okay. I just want to know if you see me. So this was let me just put a few caveats. First of all, this is my first use of doing bird video instead of photography. And so it's an initial try. And let me just tell you that no one from National Geographic has asked me to join their staff. So it's not going to be like, National Geographic quality video, but I think we're all going to have a lot of fun with this. The people at home, I'm going to pass out some sheets of paper for people here. And if the people at home would please get a blank sheet of paper, number it from 1 to 24 and get something to write with. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to hand out stuff in the audience here. Yes. We also have pens over here. People don't have writing.
Got everybody. Everybody use them? You got everybody. No erasing.
So I have all or at least all of my answers on this sheet of paper. Although I think most of them are correct, but who knows? You never know. I'm always up for corrections. This is let me show the people, hopefully the people on Zoom can see this, but this was the major book I used. It's The Birds of Mexico and Central America. It's a very useful book. It not only shows the individual species, but it also has distribution maps, which is extremely important, as you know, to try to figure out what you're looking at. And this is the camera outfit that I used. There's one caveat though. Instead of bringing my movie head and my tripod, I somehow thought I could get away with a monopod, which didn't work. So I actually borrowed a tripod from somebody on the trip, and it did not have a movie head. So it made it even more difficult to take movies. But the rest of the outfit is, as you see, is a Canon R5. And the one unique feature of a Canon R5 is that it actually is intelligent enough to focus on the eye of the bird. It's the only Canon camera that does that. It doesn't just have facial recognition for people, but it will also focus on an animal's eye. And that is extremely important when you're trying to keep it in focus while you're doing video. So it's a nice camera for that. The downside of the camera has been on the internet and everything is that it overheats if you are running it for more than 30 minutes, which for people that are doing interviews or doing some kind of other video work. But as you all know, there's no way that you're going to be video any bird for 30 minutes unless it's dead. Okay, if you can get 15 to 20 seconds, you're lucky. Okay. So let me just go through the talk here. Now, I wasn't able to do, do slides versus video. It's all one video, so it takes a while to get between the different, and I'll pause between it. So this is actually the group that I went through Mexico with. It's a company called Caravanas de Mexico. And what they do is they provide a Spanish-speaking guide. They make all the arrangements for the campgrounds and where you travel. The guide takes you to all the different places. We met in Mission, Texas, 7 RVs, and it was 12 people in those 7 RVs and 7 dogs. And the dogs were great, by the way. I love dogs. But we met in Mission, Texas, January 15th. And then we traveled across the border, traveled all the way down the east coast of Mexico, staying at different places, all through the Yucatan and up the entire west coast in 90 days. And the final thing is we ended up in Durango, Mexico for the eclipse. And we had 4.5 minutes of totality in Durango, Mexico. And the weather was perfect. Okay, because it's basically, except for the Yucatan, Mexico is basically a desert. And so it's very clear. So that was, and it was not a birding trip. It was a touring trip. I was probably the only birder in this whole group here. And they thought I was a little bit crazy because I'd go off to do, video of birds and stuff like that while they were, but there were a lot of tours. We toured pyramids, we had multiple lunches. We even did things like toured the Jose Cuervo factory and saw how they make tequila. And just as a very small side note, Jose Cuervo, the company, was formed by an Englishman named Joseph Raven, who came to Mexico in 1865. And the Spanish word for raven is Cuervo. So the name of the company is a complete marketing thing. His name is not Jose Cuervo. It was Joseph Raven. Okay. So this is, if you've heard of Mohs hardness scale, this is Joe's hardness scale. Okay. Bird photography, of getting birds on your cameras, probably takes about an effort of about 2 to get a good photo of a bird, maybe twice as hard. But let me tell you, there's nothing in comparison to the difficulty of videoing birds. Very difficult. It's easy to snap a quick shot of a bird, but to actually get them on a video camera with the light correct is difficult. And Don't worry, there's not going to be so many pauses here once we get past these slide areas here. So each of you have a piece of paper here and a pen, okay? And you're going to have 24 different birds that you're going to see, which you are required to put down the answers. And I say here in 4 different ways, no cheating, okay? You can't look at other people's paper. You can't talk to your neighbor. What did you think that was? Okay, and the most important thing is you can't admit that you got it right, even though you got it wrong initially. Okay, so no fudging after the fact, all right? And so after and just to let you know, so there's gonna be 24, basically, there won't be too many comments during the video parts, and in the video, just enjoy the videos because they're not real short. So you can have fun just watching them too. You don't have to spend your whole time writing, okay? And then after the 24 or 23, actually, at the very end, I've got a bunch of short clips of just some stuff that I threw in. Some of the birds I wasn't able to identify myself, and just for fun. So, well, it's all for fun. Okay. And I apologize for this first one because the movement is incredible. This is all still bird 1, so. So that was, as you can see, it says bird 2. So it does label the different birds, but I won't be pausing too much during these. There's a couple places I want to pause, and I apologize for that very first clip. There is a way in Final Cut Pro, which is the video program I used, to center on a subject and cut out all the other things, but it's got a lot of bugs in it and I could never get it to work correctly. But there is a way to compensate. And the other thing is, this is not the proper outfit for birds in flight. You need what's called a gimbal. It's actually an outfit that you wear with a vest that holds your camera and suspends your camera, and then you can look at things in motion, and it compensates for all your movements. And that's the way that professional photographers will take pictures of moving objects. They can follow things, and it's not jerky like they're walking. It smooths everything out. But that thing is really expensive.
What size lens are you using?
This is a 400, 100 to 400, and mostly at the 400. I tried to buy the 200 to 800 version of this, but it wasn't in before I left, so I just went with this. I've done 90+% of all my bird photography with this particular lens. It's got image stabilization, and it's actually pretty good. So, all right, bird 2, which I'm sure you've already figured out, because if you got bird 1, I'm sure you've got bird 2. So.
Identify the dogs too.
Yeah.
would you please tell us where you exactly were on the map that we were doing that?
Okay. I think I was pretty much near the east coast here on this one. Um, there was a large lake that I was at, and I had to squeeze under a fence to get to this area. It's an interesting fact, but you go to these, like it was a campground, and of course they've got the beach marsh area fenced off. So I'm walking along the fence with my equipment, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get on the other side of that fence. And the fence was like crooked, and so I actually crawled under the fence. I like some of the background stuff, like you'll see a bunch, like look at these guys. So we're at bird 6, just I don't want you to get, so we're at 6 right now. So the second part of this video is going to give it away, but this is the first part. And so this is for the people that are a little more sophisticated in their identification, as opposed to giving the answer away in the second part of this video. So we'll see how many people got it on this one just, and how many people it took a little bit more to get the idea of what kind of bird this is.
Gonna go. It's gonna go.
Yes. Well, you can do both. It's fine. You mix it better.
Other one, other one. Remember, the spawn beers, guys, remember, only here the February and August, guys, okay? No.
This is 11. Yes. This is 11. The first one was obviously in the wild, and then I was at a bird sanctuary for the second one, but you could see a lot easier on the second one, obviously. We were in a boat, so you can imagine, like, you're in a boat, you're in a video camera, you've got a 400 lens, you're trying to video something in a boat. That's, okay, that's flying. So you could see what happens, okay? All right, so we're at bird 12 right now, just to keep everybody on the same page. We're at 12 right now, okay? $13. Let you catch up with 12 and 13 there. This is 14 here. So everybody's caught up. $15. You'll see two other views at 15. This is still 15. All the same bird. Some better views. Still 15. Now we're on 16. So that last bird, which was the 16, that was clearly the most common bird. I mean, every single place in Mexico, from parking lots to jungle to everything, you would see them. They were everywhere, literally everywhere. 17. $18. Still 18. So I told you at the very beginning, it was mostly shorebirds, so everybody got those. So they're getting a little bit harder. Not this one, but. Well, that last one was one of the few that I saw in the wild. And I didn't have my tripod with me. That was me holding my camera as best I could, which was moving a little bit. Some of these other ones were in the sanctuary. This one was certainly. This one I just did because the sound is fantastic. So we're on 22 now. 23. So that's the end of the sort of named ones. And then this last part, I like to call the Bill Williams challenge. There's some short clips, a bunch of different birds. I'm not even sure what some of them are. So, and they're gonna go by pretty fast. So I don't know if you'll have time to actually write down stuff, but
So there's no wrong answers.
I mean, some of mine may be wrong answers of these first 23 too. So, I mean, I did my best to look it up but I'm not, by any means an expert. So, but at this point, there's just a bunch of little short clips of things. Some of them you'll recognize are pretty easy, but just for fun. But some of them are like, I don't know what that was. That's it. That's. All right, so let's go through the list. So I'm sure, how many, so we're just gonna do by show of hands. First one, I'm sure just about everybody. Yes, everybody? Right, first one. Yeah, did everybody get that? So I'm sure. And the second one too, right? Okay, third one. Right, fourth one. Right, The fifth one, green heron. Yeah.
Could you repeat the words?
Okay, so the first one was a brown pelican, the second one was a white pelican. The third one was a great egret, great white egret. The fourth one was a green heron. How about the fifth one? Right, and the snowy is, the key features are the yellow feet and the bottom part of the beak is not colored. So you'll notice that you can really see it in that one film, and that's a characteristic one. Now, in number 6, tricolored, right? Number 7. How about number 8?
Could you repeat the
Oh, sorry.
time?
Okay, sorry. I don't know where we left off, but number 5 was a snowy egret. Number 6 was a tricolored egret. Oh, heron, right. And number 7 was a cattle egret. And how about number 8? What do you think? What do you think, guys? What was number 8? This was the hard one. Number 8. I showed it. First I showed you and I said, this is the hard part. And then I showed you a combined film that maybe gave the answer away. It's a white variant of a reddish egret. Okay, so if you notice them together at the end, the reddish is with the white. Okay, so it was a reddish egret, but you have to be able to identify the white variant. So that was, I had to have some in here that were at least somewhat of a challenge. All those shorebirds were pretty easy. Okay, but it was cool because we were on the east coast, and to see the reddish egrets was incredible. We're on this one river that fed into the ocean, and we took a boat ride, and they let us off at this little island, and it was just covered with reddish egrets all through the trees. And I only had my cell phone, so I took that film of them flying with the cell phone, which is amazing how well a cell phone actually does. All right, number 9, white ibis, right? Number 10. Huh? White-faced ibis. You got it. I knew Bill would get it, but okay. So the first one was a white ibis, the two guys fighting over the meal, okay? But the next one was not, and it was really next to it, like literally, 50 feet from these other two. And I thought, oh, it's an immature. But then I started looking at it. I said, nope, that's a white ibis, white-faced ibis. Number 11, roseate spoonbill. So I showed you the picture of it flying from the boat, and then in the shelter. How about number 12? Yeah, an American avocet. Number 13. Black-necked, not long-necked, black-necked stilt, yes. Number 14. Well, which kind? What do you think, Bill? Yeah, I think it was a belted. I do think it didn't have a red belly, but I think it was a belted just because the sizes was not, that was blown up. It was small. It was not a huge bird. Yeah, and it was not that big. That was, it's hard to tell from the video because I've got it zoomed in, but it actually was the size of a belted. Yeah. So how about number 15? magnificent frigate bird. So 3 different views. The female is white. So the one in flight was a female. Okay, the male has a red patch here. And I did have some views of the males, but I didn't have a really good video of the males. So that's why I didn't show the males. I just like that I mean, they were literally covered on these electrical wires. And that one, I don't know if you heard, but a boat, like when a foghorn of a boat went like that, that's why they all took off. I don't know if you didn't hear it, but you can hear it on the video, which is kind of cool. Number 16. A great-tailed grackle. And they were, those great-tailed grackles were everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And they make some really cool sounds. And that one had some of the sounds, but some of them made this weird guttural sound that was really cool too. And I just didn't get it. How about number 17? Yeah, white-winged dove. You heard a mourning dove in the background, but that wasn't making that sound. Okay. And I understand your confusion because the sound was a mourning dove sound, but that was a white winged dove. How about number 18? This one is really challenging. No, I don't think so. What do you think it was, Bill? You think it was a kiskadee? Well, maybe I'm wrong then.
What did you have?
I thought it was a social flycatcher.
Those guys are about yay big.
It wasn't that big. It was this big. I thought I saw a lot of different kinds of flycatchers when, there were a whole bunch of different kinds. This was one of, and almost social flycatchers really common by the book. And it was about that big. So yeah, I know it's hard because you can't tell how big things are, but this was a small bird really blown up. I'm almost certain that was a social flycatcher. Everybody should have got 19. Scarlet macaw. How about 20?
White brown parrot or something.
Yeah, what'd you say? Exactly. It's a white fronted parrot. It's exactly what it is. A white fronted parrot. How about number 21? Any ideas? The one that made all the great noises. Yellow-headed, but what? Yellow crown. There you go. But yeah, I mean, it's the idea, right? So, but yeah, yellow crowned parrot was 21. 20 was a white fronted parrot. 22. Yep, a vermilion flycatcher. That's pretty obvious. And I must have skipped a few in there. Those two, oh yeah. How did I do that? I had 2 in there that were, they were in the miscellaneous category. Number 23, crested caracara. I think that's a really cool looking bird, isn't it? But that was obviously at the refuge. So how was the 24? I mean, there were some common ones in the sort of short things. We saw some, woodpeckers that we've seen before and stuff, but like some of them, what did you think of that bird that was in the bush? It was a little fat bird walking along the bushes. What would you, that's a type of rail? Any idea what kind of rail that would be?
It wasn't a sword, the one in the back.
The one that was walking down the bush. And it was a little fat bird that was walking down the, a sora.
I had sword.
Yeah, is that what you did? Yeah. And then that one that sort of had the reddish, but it was long, had a reddish front, and it was a fairly long tail. What do you think? A squirrel cuckoo? Okay. What else did you have, Bill? Because I was not,
Lark sparrow?
the sparrow on the, that was it was right on the beach. That sparrow was right on the beach in some thorns. I don't know what that was, but it was literally on the beach. Yeah, the oyster catcher was pretty straightforward.
More than sparrow?
Um,
I think it was a northern parrot. Yeah, I thought it was a parrot.
Probably, yeah.
There were a couple of hummers, but I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, the hummingbirds were probably, I don't know. The one was like a little grayish thing. And then their other one with a really colorful beak. And I don't think, Bill, I don't think you saw that one because you were busy writing during that part of the presentation, you know. Is there a way that we can just run the that last little sequence? Because I think that was fun. I don't know if I can.
Hermit thrush in there too. Yeah, there was a hermit thrush, American coots.
There was a
There you
hermit
go.
thrush. Let's
There's the
see.
caracaras.
There's the cara. So if we can just, whoops. Oh, great. Okay, so we'll go through that last little bit. I didn't necessarily identify all these guys.
What's that? What is this one? Yeah, looks like it's right underneath.
That's a red belly. That's pretty obvious. There's that one. So that's a larkspur, you think? Yeah, it was right on the beach. It was windy as heck, and it was some brackish stuff right along the beach on the Atlantic side. A lark sparrow. And that's the cuckoo you're saying? What's that called again? A squirrel cuckoo. Oh. Yeah. Okay. And then here's that one. What do you guys think? A Sora. Okay. This one's pretty obvious there. Everybody knows what this is, but that just and this was cool. It was there was a little park in the middle of this town, and these guys were everywhere. And the males are really cool. I don't know. It's about this big. I mean, they're big. And the other thing is that the males do this thing with their head where they go like this, and their neck kind of puffs out. And I didn't really get a good video of that, but you could tell the males versus the females because they do this kind of motion with their heads.
Running along the shore, and then it was kind of brown, like a Sora. No, this was running along the water, and it had very long. The oyster catcher?
Oh, that was the oyster catcher. Yeah, that's an oyster catcher. I'm sorry, I just didn't.
Sorry, I'm not.
So I don't know what this little guy is. There's so many. I mean, when you look in that book and you look under woodpecker, under hummingbirds, the numbers are unbelievable in every part of Mexico too, not just the Yucatan. I think we were in the Yucatan at this point, but the number of hummingbirds is here. I wanted to show you this because I don't think you saw this second hummingbird, Bill. Okay, there it is. And then there's a bunch of different kinds of, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, Muscogee, yeah. This was at the shelter. Both of these were at the shelter. I don't know.
Bill, what is that? This is a pretty bird.
I don't know. What do you think that was, guys? I don't know.
Kingbirds.
Yeah. You think it's a kingbird? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to know which
There were so many little,
tropical kingbird.
it's, when I go on the bird walks, or when I used to go on the bird walks, I had a bird that I called a tub. And it stood for totally unidentified bird. Okay, so in my crude version of bird watching, I had plenty of tubs.
What was the green bird prior? It was, prior was behind the leaf.
Before this?
Yeah. The one directly before this. Oh, sorry.
No, we're going the wrong way. Sorry.
No,
I don't know. I'm not, anyway. No, okay, sorry. It was in the shelter. I don't know what it was.
that one.
It's a woodpecker.
A woodpecker.
It's just a, yeah. It's just a weird color because it was morning. It's not anything. What do you think? What do you think about this one? I have no idea. What is it?
No kidding.
Okay. It's got a little redness underneath. No. I remember it was in the middle of the country and we were at elevation. That's the same place I saw the scarlet tanager on a farm there and overlooking a big lake right in the middle of the country. So it was probably, we were at a little bit of an elevation at that point. What's that? A canyon toy, yeah. It was in a more, it wasn't in a desert dry area. There was a big lake in the center and we were in some hills surrounding the lake and we were at, you know, a little higher elevation. Same place I saw the scarlet tanager. What do you guys think that was?
That was a parula.
A parula? Yeah. I have no idea what these guys are. Do you have any idea? Can you tell? It's- I don't know. Anyway. So. All right, that's pretty much it.
So you were the only birder, so what was, why did you pick this particular tour to go on? It wasn't a birding tour, but what, just touring Mexico?
Because my wife wanted to go on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you would repeat the question for that.
Oh, sorry.
Just why did you pick this?
She wanted to know why I picked this tour. It was mostly, actually, my wife is the one that actually picked it more than me. And it wasn't really picked. It was picked to travel through Mexico for 3 months and in our camper. And it was really a unique experience. I mean, the company did an excellent job. I mean, you were traveling 1 out of every 3 days roughly. So you'd be a travel day, which would be like maybe 6-7 hours of riding on the roads because you had to go slow. We all had CBs. We were all in it, you know, we had to keep track of everybody. We went in a caravan, we'd talk, you know, and make sure everybody was on the right track. It was led by the guide who led us, and we stayed at some were campgrounds, real campgrounds like you'd normally see. Some of them were water parks. Sometimes we stayed in the middle of a field. I mean,
So everybody had their own camper?
everybody had their own camper. There were 7, we were the smallest camp. We have a Toyota pickup truck and we have a shell that goes on the back of the truck. So we had the smallest camper. They had larger ones. So you'd travel, you'd stay at some place, and the next day, a professional tour guide would show up in like a minivan, pack us into the minivan, and we'd go tour things. So we saw, Chichen Itza and all the pyramids down there. We toured a bunch of different factories and cities and fabric shops and rug makers and musicians. And then they'd always throw in a meal. So you'd go to lunch that they'd arranged, which it was very well done. The whole thing was all, pretty. And then a lot of times they'd throw in a day where you wouldn't have to do anything. You could just chill, because you did need that after you'd be traveling and touring. And sometimes you're just like, I just want to do nothing for a day. So, but it was really good. I mean, going to see, if you've never seen any of the ruins down there, the Mayan ruins down in Mexico, they're as impressive as the pyramids in Egypt. And I'll know that for sure because in December, I've got a trip planned for 2 weeks to Cairo to see the pyramids. So I'll be able to tell you for sure whether they're as impressive as the pyramids in Egypt, but I'm telling you, they are pretty much amazing. And when you have a professional guide, there's stuff that you learn that you would never learn otherwise. Like, for example, when we went to Chichen Itza, the famous bird, I forget the name of the bird that's really important. The quats, whatever that bird makes a specific sound, right? And these people were so smart that you basically stand in front of the pyramid and your guide claps his hand really hard, and what bounces off the pyramid is the sound of the bird. It's unbelievable, the technology and the knowledge of these people that built these things. And in that same pyramid in Chichen Itza, at the equinox, the shadows are designed so that it looks like a serpent is crawling down the pyramid. So, I mean, there were a bunch of things like that. These people knew mathematics, they knew construction, they were very smart people, and the only reason, the Spaniards came in when they had all been in decline by that point. They were all already starting to, and they think that a lot of these places actually were victims of their own success because the soil down there is very thin, and they basically farmed themselves out of existence. The soil just failed, and they weren't able to, maintain, that. It's different in Egypt. Egypt was able to go for such an incredible long period of time because the Nile would be refreshed with the floods every year. Every year they have floods, which would bring new soil down from the African islands into the Nile, which is why the Egyptian society went on for 3,000-4,000 years in a row without a fail. Whereas these guys would, after they farm the land for a period of time, they basically starved. So, yeah.
Did you feel safe at all times?
Yes, it was. Now there's places you don't want to be, like you don't want to be near the Guatemalan border. You don't really want to be in the US border on the west side. Okay. And like when we crossed in Mission, Texas, the key was to get us away from the border. The only unsafe areas in Mexico are really the borders. And in Mexico, there's a lot of toll roads, believe it or not. I didn't realize it, but primarily you traveled by toll roads. And the toll roads are incredibly safe. I mean, you literally go through toll booths in the toll roads, and there's Mexican military, with basically 50 caliber machine guns on the back of pickup trucks, and nobody messes with those guys. And it's mostly trucks and people, and I never felt the least bit unsafe, and the Mexican people are just a delight. You did see some evidence when we walked, especially when we were in the center of the country, we were driving north towards Oaxaca. You see the immigrants along the side of the road walking, and you see the reality as opposed to the propaganda that you see on TV. These are families. Get dads carrying kids on their shoulders, moms walking with their kids. These are families. These aren't criminals. These are families. So, yes,
Did you happen to see the monarch migration at all? The butterfly
we did. We missed it by 2 weeks. So we went and we hiked up this incredibly beautiful area where the monarchs are. I felt like I was in Colorado. That was what the topography was like. Pine trees, green, mountainous. It looked like Colorado to me. And we had missed the peak. So we saw a lot of dead monarchs on the ground and a couple flitting around, but we missed the big migration. Yeah. So it varies a little by, every year. So.
Should see if there's any questions in the, so I'm gonna stop sharing this now. Chat. Great videos and presentation, thanks, from Scott Hemler. Great. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for Joe before he leaves? Yeah, I'm so impressed with your photography. And how close were you to some of those birds, some of those shorebirds? Were you, I mean, I don't know what your zoom capacity is here. That close, really?
Well, no, that's a 400mm lens.
Yeah.
So it's this it's usually pretty populated along the beaches and stuff. So the birds were not
Oh, yeah.
afraid of people at all. So they just ignored them. So you could get very close to them before you would spook them, because they basically, but for a lot of them would be about the distance from here to that back row.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, about that far away.
Can you guys hear Joe? He's talking about how the distance he was from the birds.
Maybe about 20 feet, 25 feet, you could get, and some of them closer. I was pretty close to the vermilion flycatcher. He was on top of, he was on top of like an old farm machine. I mean, he was all over the place. So I was able to pretty much, you saw a very small slice of what I got, but, and I can tell you that with my movie head, I would have done a lot better with those shorebirds, following them along. As you can see, it's pretty jerky, and it was hard to follow them without a real movie head tripod, which I don't know why I didn't bring it. It's one of those things where you get on the trip and you go, oh, okay, well, that was pretty smart.
I think you did remarkably well.
Yeah.
They're really gorgeous.
So, and then, like I said, it was fit in between tours, and it was not a verdict trip at all. So that was just the free days that I had. So.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thanks again.
Sure.
That was great. Okey doke. Sure, I wish I could take anything anywhere near that, but I'm going to leave that to the photographers in the group. We do have a few announcements, and Scott Hemler, are you there? And do you want to say something about the bird walk?
Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
That was a great presentation. Makes me want to go to Mexico sometime.
Mhm.
Anyway, we are having our 4th Saturday bird walk on September 28th at 8 o'clock in the morning at New Quarter Park. We'll meet in the parking lot and be there about 2 hours. Should be done by 10:30. Hopefully the weather will be nice. A little hard to tell this far out, but hopefully it will be. And maybe we'll see some of our winter birds starting to come in by that time, our winter residents. So we'll see. And maybe probably see some tubs too. So we'll find out about that. All right. Well, thank you. I hope to see everybody at on Saturday morning, the 28th, September 28th at New Quarter Park.
Great. Thanks so much, Scott.
Yep.
I believe George is not on the call, but we do have our upcoming field trip is this Saturday at the Jamestown Beach Event Park at 8 o'clock. This one's a little bit different. It's more kind of a casual birding, socializing. It's not terribly strenuous. We just park and walk to the area overlooking the beach. Babs is going to be keeping the list. So if folks see birds, hear birds, make sure that Babs knows about them, and then she'll share the list, or George will share the list, something like that. Then the next one coming up in October, and you'll get more details on this, but we're going to do our annual trip to the Eastern Shore. Deborah Humphreys is going to lead us, and we will make several stops there. We will stop at the Hawk Watch, and then various other places on the Eastern Shore. More details will come out about that, but that's coming up in October. Mary Ellen asked me to announce that the deadline for the newsletter is September 26th. So it's coming right up, but she, as always, will welcome anybody's photos, comments, essays, whatever you have for her, book reviews. She loves to get things from particularly people that haven't maybe been regular contributors, somebody new, feel like writing something up. Send it to Mary Ellen. Shirley, I don't know if Shirley's still on the call or not, and if she wanted to say anything about the Christmas bird count. I think it's pretty early still, but we just want you to put it on your calendar. Shirley there, maybe not. Sunday, December 22nd will be the Christmas bird count. So I know it's still a ways off, but just mark your calendars, and there will be lots more information coming up about that. Patty, do you want to say anything about our upcoming meetings?
The fourth Wednesday, the 23rd of October will be Rexanne.
Okay, yeah, the 23rd of October is Rexanne Bruno going to be talking about her trip to Ecuador. And then in November, James Abbott, who we've had here before, is going to be talking, I believe, about some of his research in Belize. If you've heard him, you know he's very entertaining. So that'll be fun. Deborah, did you want to say something about Project Feeder Watch coming up?
Hi there in Zoom land. Hi, everyone. I'm not very good about talking in front of people, but we'll see if I can get through this. I don't know how many of you do Project Feeder Watch in the winter. Can I see a show of hands? Okay, well, you might have received an email today from Project Feeder Watch giving you the date that it starts, November 1st, which is great. We can all still sign up for it also. But I read further down the headline, the email, and the headline was pretty disturbing. It was talking about the trends for the last decade, and that there was a significant drop in the abundance of birds in our yards. And that they're really seeing this across the board. It wasn't just pockets. They couldn't ascribe it to, you know, a major weather event or anything, which can happen in areas, but this is across the board, this drop of 30%. And I just thought I'd ask everyone to make sure you're really watching your birds and keeping those tallies and submitting them as often as possible so that we can just keep up our area. I tried to dig down into the data, but I couldn't get any further than Virginia, and they haven't really crunched it yet. So I'm sure it'll take them a while, but maybe we'll hear more about what their reasons are. But that's all I have, just giving you a little cheering pep talk here to stick with the bird. Okay.
Good job. Good job.
I remember there, at one point, and I don't remember this was a year ago or so, but they were talking about the fact that a bunch of birds were getting this eye disease from contaminated bird feeders. And
Yeah.
they recommend you clean
Right,
your bird feeder. Are they still having that problem, or do you know?
Yeah, they were talking about a few things that would affect birds in your yard. One of them, of course, is having a predator nearby, like a hawk or owls or such, and that'll reduce the numbers. one of the other things is to really be careful about your feed, make sure that it doesn't stay out too long, that it doesn't get wet, that it doesn't grow mold on it, and to clean your feeders as often as you can. That can be as easy as putting them into, very hot soapy water and then making sure you rinse it well. Some people will use a solution, a very diluted solution with bleach, yeah. But yes, so if you see a sick bird on your feeder, you should pull your feeder down. Well, I'm not going to say something so awful about that, but if you see finches in particular, you should pull your feeder down until that finch goes, because they can pass that disease on very quickly. I can't speak to the one that you were asking
Yeah,
about though.
that's the conjunctivitis.
Yeah.
Very contagious.
Yeah. Multiple
Really
species. Good.
primarily in house finches, but it will get into other feeder birds. And yeah, and many of
Goldfinches,
them will
yeah.
actually,
And house
chickadees
finches,
can get it. I mean, it's primarily house finches, but yeah, it is a problem. And like Deborah was saying, I use a dilute bleach solution. It's like 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. It's very dilute. Wash your feeders, make sure they're really dry, throw out all the food, start all over again, and give it a couple of days. There are various.
Do you wash it? How often?
Well, right this second, I have so many birds at my feeders that I'm washing it well, probably at least once a week. Yeah, I mean, there are just so many coming and going, and because house finches, they're so likely to have it at some point, or to have a house finch come in with it. It's just a good idea to keep them clean. With the amount of activity, I don't know, I've had crazy activity at my feeders. I think a lot of it is all the little fledges that are now in the yard. So yeah, I try and keep them clean probably once a week. I think it's just kind of in general a good recommendation, but yeah, unfortunately that conjunctivitis. I understand house finches are on the decline though, so I don't know if it's starting to catch up with them with their population.
It's a lot of this at my theater, a lot of house finches.
Yeah.
But
And you may or may not have it show up. It doesn't always, there's various thoughts about how to handle it. Some people say, take down your feeders. Some people say, if you take them down, then they're going to go someplace else and spread it to some other population. I'm not going to get into that because I know people have various opinions on how the best way to handle it. But at the very least, I would definitely clean the feeders. Okay, thank you.
If anyone needs any help with Project Feeder Watch or help using the app or anything on the website, you can always give me a ring or a call or something. I can walk you through it if it gets confusing.
Yeah, good point. Anybody who hasn't done Feeder Watch but would like to, Deborah and any number of members here who are familiar with it would be more than happy to help. So let's see. Oh, and I think we probably, maybe I'll let Mary Ellen know. We should probably put a link to Feeder Watch in the newsletter. So if you haven't done it, it'll direct you to the Cornell site and how you would sign up to do Feeder Watch. It's a lot of fun. And we don't know that birds are suffering until we don't want it to be too late before we recognize that there's a decline in something. And we look around, we say, well, cardinals are doing great. We see them everywhere. Well, until the day comes that we don't see them. So this was troubling news that came out that there has been a decline in yard birds. So the best thing we can do is collect data and submit it and let the powers that be work it from there. Okay, anybody else have any? Oh, yeah.
Is there a rule of thumb for hummingbird feeders when you should
Take them down. I personally keep one up basically year round. My neighborhood has had an outlier. Most of my birds are gone. I had probably 25 or 26 this year and I'm down to 1. So they take off right about now. They're pretty much gone, but it doesn't hurt to leave one up as long as you keep it clean and keep it going. But we can get some vagrants and you never know. So I actually keep one of them up.
so pre-active right now?
Yeah, that's great. Anything else? I do want to mention something we're very excited about. Here's my copy of it. I have a prop. So many of you are familiar with the Birds of Virginia's Colonial Historical Triangle. If this thing looks like it's been through the war, that's how much I use it. It looks like it has chickenpox on the cover of it. Fabulous reference. I use it all the time. So the big news is Bill has redone this however many years later, 12 years later. It is about to come hot off the presses. We are hoping, well, from what we understand, it's going to be shipped on September 30th. We will be selling them. It's going to be stunning. It's going to be just a wonderful thing. You're all going to want to own it. We only have 250 copies coming, and we're going to first make it available to Bird Club members. So no need to panic. We're going to make sure everybody gets a copy, and then
What's the price gonna be?
it's going to be $20. It's the best deal in town. And it's just a fabulous resource. Bill isn't going to let me say how hard he's worked on this and how much credit he deserves for doing this all over again. It's really a labor of love, and it's going to be a fabulous addition to your library. So I would encourage all of you. We will let you know as soon as it comes out. Eventually, after everybody's had a chance to buy one, we'll have it available on the website as well. We got I think Jeanette said we could probably make that happen. And then eventually we'll make it available to anybody in Virginia, but it won't last long. It's gonna be hot off the presses and it'll sell fast. So personally, I cannot wait to get my new copy. This one, I'm never gonna retire. This is an original that I have to hang on to, but that's our big news. It's a big deal for the club. So we can't wait. Anything more, Bill? No, he's just done a Herculean job on this. So
It's one of my most frequently used bird books.
Yeah.
I'm always turning to it to see whether a bird, is it really a breeder here or
Right.
not, or things
Right.
like that.
right, yeah,
To
if
have a book that's about your local birds.
yeah,
is awesome.
it absolutely is. If you're not familiar with it, it's an annotated list. It's going to tell you what breeds here, when you're likely to see it, what peak counts are, what Christmas bird count numbers are. I just love it. And
When I first joined the club, I got a list of birds that had been seen,
uh-huh,
you know, and I look at that so much.
right,
Because it'll tell you what years or
Yeah.
it'll tell you how often.
or high counts, or I mean, it's just it's a great resource, and I'm so excited that it's about to come out. So anything else? Anybody in Zoom land have any announcements, anything you want to say? You're a quiet crowd. We got a good group, 27 people in Zoom. So you were the hot act in town tonight.
And the rate really could be few away.
So if nothing else, we here in person are going to turn to our door prizes. We have some things over there. We wish we could send them remotely to you. I guess it's a little bit of an incentive to come if you can. But we understand that Zoom is a great alternative. So we have some books. We have a bunch of books. We have a hummingbird
Maybe
feeder.
you want to keep it out all year, we got.
Yeah.
Maybe your other one's getting a little ratty.
Great. So
This is your winning ticket right here.
Of course.
I don't ever win any.
And just so you know, Kathy has a list here, if anybody wants to bring.
I don't even take a ticket because I don't ever
If
win.
anybody wants to bring snacks.
Oh, right.
sign up.
We are past, right, go ahead.
She's got it right here.
I'll still bring the tablecloth and the decor, but we have to trade off people bringing some snacks sometimes.
So we got tons of books.
You can just write your name and then I can call people whenever I need, we need help, and I'll say, what you want.
We're discussing refreshments here, but You all don't have to worry about that if you don't come, but Yes.
Just what, I've got my camera set up here. If anybody that is a photography geek and wants to come up and touch it. And play with it,
if you want to
they
touch
can.
the camera.
Raffle too?
They can.
Oh, raffle.
Please,
Okay, you got a number? Oh, Babs?
Nancy, will you have Bill's books in your car?
They will be with me at all times. Yeah. I will always have the books for sale and just so you know, I have CBWO hats and, you know, I have all kinds of things. But yeah, Bill's, I'm telling you, it's gonna go fast. You're gonna have to buy your copies.
Are you ready? So the first winning ticket is 371.
371.
371.
Bill. Bill is our first winning ticket here, and he probably could have written any of those books, so maybe he'll want the hummingbird feeder. Yay, he got the hummingbird feeder.
369.
369 is our next
Bring it
number.
on.
Deborah. I had some big excitement at my house today, Bill. I had a Philadelphia Vireo come to where I could see it from my breakfast room. Didn't last long. I had Ken there with me to verify it. I've never had one at the house before.
You know, when I saw it coming here, it was so funny. I was on Francis Street and there was a group of maybe about 10 Canada geese. And it was a crosswalk. And I drove through the crosswalk and then looked in my rearview mirror and those geese were walking across in the crosswalk.
In the crosswalk?
It was the funniest thing ever. Right?
That's great. That's great.
375.
375. Oh, a winner, yay. Joe just finished saying that he never wins.
While he's shopping, 372.
372. Yay, a winner.
Come on, baby.
We also had a little bit of exciting news in the birding world in Virginia. We had our first ever, as far as I can tell, record of breeding black-bellied whistling ducks in the state of Virginia. There are 5 little ducklings on the eastern shore in a little pond. That's pretty exciting.
Come on down and take something. Bring the burger down.
Oh, bring the birder down, yeah.
When you know it.
newbies, we just really.
Welcome.
Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, wonderful. New members as winners. That's, they paid extra.
Try that one.
Oh.
Would you have snacks? Because there's no pumpkins, no rose. Would you have snacks? All right, what about taking 359? Take 359.
Patty, how many are we gonna do?
Oh, that's soup.
Oh, that was Christine? Okay, great.
One more is 358. That's me.
Ooh,
There's still plenty of snacks for people to lunch.
I want to send, I should send people, I got a turkey vulture right at my kitchen window. And it was incredible.
Hmm.
That video.
oh, fun.
When he walks so slowly. It's right into the window.
That's great. Anybody out there, you guys have any great sightings? We're kind of winding down here, but anybody have anything good to report coming at your yard? It's a quiet crowd. Okay, well, I think that's all we have. If nobody else has anything they'd like to discuss or report, I'm going to, last chance, We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thanks, everybody in Zoom land for being here. And Joe, thank you so much. That was a wonderful program.